What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to Next on Deck this week. We got a jam-packed episode for you guys today. A lot has gone on in the past week, and we got our first interview with a player. So, stay tuned for Terry Myrick's insights on the Super Bowl and, his career, all that mumbo-jumbo. But, to start off, Ryan, we're going to talk about Matthew Stafford and, the trade with him. So Matthew Stafford has finally escaped Detroit and was traded to what probably seems like a different world to him, the LA Rams, for Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick. And, I think it might have been a little much. But, Ryan, were you surprised, with this trade? Did you think the Rams gave up too much? What were your thoughts?
I was really surprised just by, it's not very often you see 2 big-time quarterbacks moving for each other like that. I mean, that was a big trade. I didn't really expect it kind of like 1-1 like that. But, I mean, the picks definitely made a big difference there. It may seem like a lot, but I also think, in the idea that my boy Matthew Stafford's now going to lead the Rams to at least 8 Super Bowls, these next picks aren't going to be very high in the draft. So, it's really not that worth as much.
Yeah, no, and I feel like they gave up these picks too because, Goff signed his extension last year, and they're probably they already probably feel too bad for Detroit anyway. So, they probably threw in a couple picks in there. But, yeah, I mean, I think the Lions honestly kind of won this trade. Goff, he's a solid, established quarterback already, and he can really grow with that offense. They're going to lose a lot of offensive weapons this year, as I think 5 of their wide receivers are free agents, which I guess is basically their whole depth chart. But, because they already offered a contract to Kenny Golladay, and it looks like he's not coming back. But yeah, it's definitely a cap hit for the Lions, but I think this trade was totally worth it for them, and this is probably the best they were going to get, out of Stafford, considering he's 32. Doesn't really have success in the playoffs, but that's not his fault because he's in Detroit. But yeah, and for the Rams, they get a veteran quarterback who they really need. They already have a number 1 defense. So, they really just needed that guy that, they needed the glue to that Rams offense. And I think Matthew Stafford, is that glue. And, I think he'll do great things in LA. He might struggle at first, but I'm sure Sean McVay is loving this trade right now because him and Goff's relationship kind of seemed, it couldn't be fixed really. So yeah, I think it was a great trade by, the Rams. Really for both sides, honestly.
Yeah.
So we'll see how Stafford does in LA, but I feel kind of bad for Goff. At least like you said, at least he's going somewhere he's appreciated.
Yeah.
But it is Detroit, so
sure. Nobody likes Detroit.
No one.
I do think it's a good time for the Lions to rebuild, though. I think it's a good step in the right direction.
100%. Yeah, I mean, Detroit fans love Stafford, but I feel like, in all their hearts, there was a certain point where they're like, he's got to go somewhere else. And so overall, great trade by both teams. Again, most they could probably get for Stafford. So, we'll see how that turns out. But a lot of other quarterbacks have been rumored to be traded. And one of them, which surprised me probably out of all of them, is Derek Carr. Gruden said that he would be surprised if the Raiders were to trade Derek Carr, but nonetheless, he's still in the news to be traded, and I think that might be because of Deshaun Watson. Not 100% sure, but Ryan, do you think the Raiders will actually trade Derek Carr? And if they do, what teams, would be open to trading for him?
I have a hard time seeing them do anything with Carr just because he's playing at elite level right now. And other than him, I mean, it's a pretty young team and they've kind of got a good thing going on. The biggest thing they struggle with is a defense. The only way I see him going is either, like you said, with Deshaun Watson and like a straight up trade, or if they pull some really crazy 3-way trade in which they get a really good quarterback out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't really see that happening because, in football, the 3-way trades really aren't as common as the NBA or MLB. So, yeah, I don't understand why the Raiders would trade Derek Carr. I understand, he's not the best of the best, but he's an established quarterback. He proves himself on, when the games are close. He has a lot of game-winning drives this year, and I think he's a pretty clutch quarterback. And you can't. I want the Raiders. He needs receivers. I mean, when Tyrell Williams is his best receiver, like he's only like I don't know an 80 overall in Madden. So and Henry Ruggs it hasn't worked out so far.
He runs.
He runs. Yeah, he runs. Maybe hopefully he's not only known for that game-winning touchdown against the Jets, preventing their first win and everything. So hopefully, Henry Ruggs kind of becomes more of an option for Derek Carr. But I mean, otherwise, he's got good running back. Darren Waller is a solid option at tight end. The O-line's getting there, but they just really need a defense. I mean, if you give him a defense and he still doesn't perform, then I would open, the thoughts of trading him. But I just don't think, it would be smart for the Raiders, especially because he's not really injury prone either. He hasn't really been injured at all his entire career, which is kind of crazy for how long he's played. So this really wouldn't make any sense to me. But I know he's rumored, the Bears and the Colts are kind of rumored to maybe call for him. And, I think for the Colts, he would be a great fit for them. I feel like he kind of has a similar style to Phillip Rivers, but he's probably a little more mobile too. So he would be a great get for the Colts. But, again, I just don't see the Raiders, really trading for him. Last quarterback topic today. There are a lot of quarterbacks, but want to talk a little about Carson Wentz. This situation's a little weird for me. Teams have been calling in about Wentz. They say they're close with the trade, but originally the Eagles didn't really want to trade him, but Wentz has verbally, spoken out that he wants out. And I think that's because he knows he would lose in a quarterback battle with Jalen Hurts. So I think he just needs a new start with more weapons. Ryan, where do you think Wentz will end up?
I don't know. I mean, because obviously Wentz has kind of been on a downfall lately, but it could be just like a coaching matter because he obviously has really poor relations with the team in general. So I think you put him in a new fresh start, maybe he kicks back up because he's not out of his prime per se in age. He just needs to work maybe on his decision making, and then he'll be good. So I personally like to see him at the Bears, and then the Eagles pick up Foles as a backup for Hurts again. Because boom, Eagles backup Foles is the best type of Foles. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. And Philly fans would go crazy for that if they got Foles back. That's actually a trade that's been rumored. The Bears have offered the Eagles Nick Foles, Tariq Cohen, and I believe a first-round pick. So the Eagles are trying to get 2 first-round picks out of him. I don't think he's worth 2 first-round picks, especially with that contract, because him and Goff signed the extension around the same time. Both right now are not really working out. But yeah, Wentz he just didn't perform this year. He actually had more time in the pocket that he's had in the past 2 years, and he had a lower completion percentage, and he got sacked way more. Obviously, that's not all him. There were offensive line injuries and stuff like that. But, I don't want to hear the excuse from Eagles fans that he doesn't have any time because he had more time than he did last year in the pocket. So, granted, he did have Zach Ertz, who was, a lot healthier last year. Seems to be kind of on the decline. But, I mean, this looks like Jalen Hurts' team, and I think the Eagles are finally starting to realize that. They just got to let their dream boy go. So I think, again, either the Bears or the Colts will get him. They both desperately need quarterbacks, and they don't really have high draft picks. So, yeah, they need to get rid of Wentz. But, those are the 2 teams that I think, will really go after him. But on to the most at least the topic I was most excited for, the Super Bowl, baby. It's Super Bowl 55, biggest game of the year, Chiefs Bucks. I wish we would have been able to get this out a little earlier, just to give people more time to, watch it. But, with school and everything, we got conflicting schedules and stuff. So, but, we'll give our insights today. I know you guys saw the Instagram post. I posted that it's my attempt at a graphic. We'll see. But yeah, so our picks. But the Chiefs are favored by 3. And if you ask almost any football fan, they probably would say the Chiefs. So Ryan, I know you agree with the football world, that the Chiefs are going to win. But why do you think the Chiefs are going to beat the Bucs today?
I mean, obviously, like right now, the things that are carrying the Bucs the most is the defense. I mean, they've had an absolutely elite defense these past few games. And in turn, Brady hasn't been putting up numbers like we usually see Brady doing in the playoffs. And I think that's going to come to hurt him this game. I think the Chiefs has a solid enough defense. They'll continue to slow Brady down. Not that I would never bet against Brady because don't get me wrong, any Super Bowl with Brady, he could definitely win. So I'm not saying it's no chance. And then the Chiefs offense, I mean, even with an elite defense, is shown to be just you can maybe slow them down, but they can't be stopped. I mean, they have so many weapons going on that it's impossible to really stop them. So I think it's going to be one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a few years. I think it could be really good. But I think I've got the Chiefs just because of that high power offense and Brady slowing down a little bit.
Brady's definitely shown his weaknesses throughout the playoffs, especially when he's pressured. And, it doesn't help that the Chiefs have the highest pressure rate in the NFL. So, they're going to be blitzing him like crazy. There's no really way to surprise Brady. There's no really, packages you can throw at him. He's going to know what your defense is doing. But, when it comes out of defensive line, they just got to make plays. And, he can't predict that or prevent that. So the Chiefs have just got to give him pressure. Because, as we saw in the Packers game, when he got pressure, he just lobbed it up to Mike Evans, and threw 3 picks in the second half, almost cost him the game. So Brady has got, if the Bucs are going to win this game, Brady has got to be cool under pressure. He has got to make the right throws. Chris Godwin has got to make plays, yards after the catch. Just because he is, the Patriots, or he's kind of Brady's Edelman on the Buccaneers, so he's got to make those plays. And so I mean, their defense, it's good. I don't know if you remember, Ryan, but the last time they played, Tyreek Hill, that was the game he had like 60 fantasy points, put up like 200 yards. So they're getting Carlton Davis back, so hopefully that will kind of help with Tyreek Hill, but. They just got – I mean, it's going to be tough to stop him. They just got to contain him at this point. If he has – I think if he has 120 yards, that's a win. Honestly, he's going to be tough to stop. But, this is, one of the best quarterback Super Bowl matchups we've seen in a while. I personally think if Brady can, stay cool under pressure and he can make the right decisions, make the right throws, I think the Bucs can get this game. Because, like you said earlier, their defense is so solid all around. Obviously, Mahomes is, Mahomes, and he will still perform. But the Bucs just, they got to contain him. If they're going to win this game.
What's up, guys? I hope you enjoyed the first part of the video so far. I figured this is probably the best place to put the Terry Myrick interview because we were on the topic of football. So. I hope you guys enjoy. He has a lot of great insight about, the Super Bowl and, kind of breaks down the game in a way, that Ryan and I can't really, because we're not at that, level that he's at. But I hope you guys enjoy the interview. We're going to talk some basketball and some baseball after. So stay tuned for the rest of the show and enjoy the interview.
So the next question I got for you is, who do you model your game after? Is there a specific NFL athlete that you kind of look up to? Kind of a linebacker play style that you like. So is there any players in mind?
I definitely, I'm a big Falcons fan. I model my game after Deion Jones. I'm a run and chase type linebacker. I just use my quickness and ability to bend and just avoid blockers. And I really try to just model my game after him. I think I got an advantage on those big, huge, tall linemen. And at the same time, I'm a very strong guy, people wouldn't expect it, but I can creep up on you as well.
I know, seeing some of your highlight tapes on your Instagram, you getting in, those tackles for loss. So yeah, you definitely do remind me of Deion Jones now that you do say that. Yeah. So next question. So what was your kind of mindset going into this year? As a senior, did it really change at all since you had to deal with the COVID guidelines and restrictions and just playing less games in general?
I just viewed it as a challenge, man. I knew that there was going to be something that we had to battle with the whole COVID thing, and just being, initially we were shut down. So I really had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like, we didn't get a fair opportunity. But once we got things back up and running, I was satisfied with my preparation. You know what I'm saying? I didn't sit down or get discouraged. I was very satisfied with my preparation, and I really attacked it. I attacked this season, and I took full advantage of it because I knew that it was an important season for me. It was a very important season for me, and I feel like I took full advantage of it.
For sure. I mean, leading that defense, top 10 red zone defense in the NFL or in the, college football, and, with the most stops on the team, you definitely showed that preparation, and, that training. So I know most athletes kind of struggled with, COVID and stuff like that, just preparing and stuff, because, it was a different kind of season, especially, with no fans. So I'm not really sure of the Eastern Michigan situation with the fans, but I'm sure there was at least, some limited attendance or, no fans at all. So, how was, what was kind of the difference that you kind of had to make, with no fans or, limited attendance?
So we had no fans in the MAC. It wasn't necessarily in the MAC because I know we went to Indiana to play Ball State and they had fans, they had attendance, but in Michigan we weren't able to have fans. And honestly, I didn't let it discourage me. I tried to use it as an advantage. I tried to pick up on cadences and try to listen in on the other team's sideline and stuff like that. I just tied it into practice. It wasn't anything different from practice. It was just a super competitive practice for me.
So what are your kind of plans after college? I know the NCAA is giving you guys an extra year of eligibility, which I'm sure you're kind of grateful for, especially because this is probably not how you wanted to end your college career. So do you plan on maybe joining the NFL, because I know you're top linebacker, or do you think you're going to go back to Eastern Michigan for another year?
So my entire plan is to come back to Eastern to further build my reputation, get a few more stats, get a little bit more recognition, and then I will definitely pursue the NFL.
And I mean, I'm assuming your dream team would be the Falcons, play alongside Deion Jones.
Yeah, that's definitely – you hit it right on the head.
Yeah. Ryan, you got a couple questions for him?
Yeah, so how was the big difference in, weather play style going from Georgia to Michigan? Did you find that it was harder with the cold versus kind of that low southern air, or it was not a big difference for you?
I mean, it's definitely a difference. I'm pretty sure you can assume that it's a nice, humid place here in Georgia. A lot of heat. People get, sweated out. People fall out all the time down here. But, being able to go up to Michigan, my conditioning was already top notch when I got there as a freshman. I was leading the pack with running and stuff because I was so used to running with all these resistant measurements and stuff like that. So when I got there, it was cool and stuff in the summer. I didn't have a problem. But once it started getting cold, I had to really mentally convince myself that I can still play football at a high level in the cold because, at that point in time, you're trying to protect yourself. You're so cold, you just want to stay warm. You feel like you're going to hurt yourself if you hit somebody hard, or you're going to pull some if you run too hard. So it definitely took some adjusting too, but as you can see, I'm playing in it now. Just played in November and December in it, so I've definitely got used to it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to slow you down anymore, but probably a big jump. So if you could play any position on the field, would you stay where you at, or would you take something maybe more high profile, more offensive, or do you like where you are?
I think where I'm at right now is the best position for me. I love being able to go hit ball carriers, get sacks. You can do pretty much anything you can do anywhere else at linebacker. So I like being the head of the defense, the brain of the defense. I don't have a problem playing linebacker at all. I'll probably stay where I am.
Yeah, I was a linebacker in high school, and that kind of like in that box is the place I like to be too.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, you're a big Falcons guy. So what do you think their next big move should be? Do you think they should stick with Matt Ryan and Julio, or should they kind of try to move on in the draft?
Honestly, I think that they should try to move one of those guys. In my opinion, I think it's time. I know Julio's been injured and stuff like that as of lately. The past couple of years, he's been having little nagging injury pains. But I think just revamping the whole quarterback room, I think a really smart move would be to try to get Matt Ryan out of San Francisco, maybe trade some picks and get him back with his old offensive coordinator and Kyle Shanahan, and then draft Fields. You know what I'm saying? And, just start over in the quarterback room. I think Julio would be fine at Atlanta. I don't really want to play against that guy.
Yeah, Julio's definitely not someone anyone wants to play against for sure.
Yeah, I do not want to play.
And then coming into we got the Super Bowl coming up a couple of days. Who do you have taking that game?
I definitely like Kansas City. I feel like they just have too many weapons, too many things to account for. Too many.
Yeah, no, it's going to be tough for, I think it's going to be tougher for the Chiefs just because, they're going to have to play in Tampa Bay. And I know Tampa Bay, they're kind of giving them a little restrictions, because they are at home. So I know they can't do, their famous, touchdown celebration with the, the big Buccaneer boat. But, I mean, I think the Buccaneers got a shot. I mean, with Brady, you always got a shot.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's just remarkable what he's doing. And it honestly looks like he can play for, years to come. So I don't know. I don't know. It's honestly, it's going to be up to Tyrann Mathieu, in my opinion. I feel like if he can kind of, help, shadow Mike Evans a little bit, with the corners, I think the Chiefs will have an easier time defensively. But, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have way too many weapons. I mean, when you got guys like Tyreek Hill, fastest receiver in the league, and Travis Kelce, without a doubt, best tight end in the league, it's going to be tough. So speaking of Travis Kelce, what would you being a linebacker, you might have to cover a guy like that. So, what's kind of your, mentality or kind of game plan going into a game like that, like having to cover a guy of like that size, that quickness, with all of his talents?
With a guy like him, are you asking from just a linebacker's perspective or just how we would attack it as a defense? How we want to attack
Yeah,
it?
just the linebacker's perspective. If your coach is like, all right, you're going to shadow Travis Kelce, the entire game. You got to be on him. What's your kind of thinking when you're going into that?
Okay, so I love watching the little DB receiver matchups on YouTube and stuff. Like, I watch that stuff every day. And I used to enjoy watching the Cam Chancellor, Gronkowski, and the Keanu Neal and Jimmy Graham back when the Saints used to have him. I used to watch all that stuff. And I think that the physical route is the best thing with those big, long guys. Like, you don't want to get those guys out in space unimpeded. You want to be able to beat those guys and throw off time. And so I would definitely want to get under his shoulder pass and bang him up at the line of scrimmage so things are knocked off with the quarterback.
Right. So Terry, that's all the questions that we got for you. I just want to thank you, for joining the podcast. I know you're pretty active on Instagram, so I'll drop Terry's Instagram, in the description. And Terry, we'd love to have you on again. But good luck at Eastern Michigan next year. I know Ryan and I are hoping the best for, you and the Eagles.
All right, man. Thank you very much for having me on. It's an honor that you guys, respect me enough to bring me on and, just give me some attention.
Have a nice day, man.
All right, you guys have a nice day too.
Thanks, Terry.
All right, thank you.
See ya.
All right.
What do you think? What do you think?
I think it went pretty well.
So moving on to the NBA world, LeBron he's been kind of on the bad side of the press lately. As you know, last Wednesday when the Lakers played the Sixers, there was a play where Joel was going up for a dunk over LeBron, and LeBron just kind of put his hands up and just kind of pushed him a little bit, and Embiid fell pretty hard on his back, and obviously the Sixers and Embiid were not happy with the call because LeBron only got called for a foul. There was no flagrant foul or anything. And later in the game, Embiid got a flagrant foul or an offensive foul on Anthony Davis when he was trying to just shimmy over him and kind of hit Anthony Davis in the face. So Ryan, what were your thoughts on that foul? Do you think LeBron deserved all the heat that he got? Did you think it should have been a flagrant foul, or should have just been a regular foul and no one should have made a big deal about it?
I think LeBron definitely needed to be called on a flagrant there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the most dangerous plays in basketball, really, because you have no control over your body in the air.
Yeah,
like
when
that.
you're up in the those are always the most controversial fouls and stuff. When I feel like it's a golden rule in basketball at any level that you don't really affect anyone in the air because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And then they gave him that apology flagrant on Embiid, which that was just poor. But they needed to say sorry to LeBron, I guess.
Yeah, they got to keep LeBron happy, I guess. But that flagrant on Embiid was so infuriating for me too, because because I personally don't even. It was barely even a foul, to be honest, just because. I mean, Anthony Davis was in his space. Embiid was literally just moving the ball to the other side, and Anthony Davis was he hit him right there, in the middle of his arm. So, it was it probably was an offensive foul, but it for sure shouldn't have been a flagrant. But I think people were kind of exaggerating the LeBron foul with Embiid a little bit, just because obviously it looks really bad. The play does look really bad. Just the way Embiid fell, and obviously how injury prone he is. I thought he was out for the year when he fell like that. I was like, oh, there goes our season. We're done. But if you watch the play, LeBron just kind of put his hands up to maybe prevent him from dunking. I don't know. I think they exaggerated a little bit, and I know a lot of the analysts from Paul. Well, can't really trust Paul Pierce as much, but they were saying that Embiid was being a little soft, that barely would have been a foul in their day. So I think it was a little exaggerated, but because you're right, because it was in the air, it's tough to argue that from LeBron's side, but I think it was a little over exaggerated. But I definitely think Embiid should not have gotten that flagrant foul, later in the game. But also, speaking of LeBron's power, he also got into a little tussle with one of the Hawks' wives, which I would have never thought out of, all the new enemies LeBron's getting, seems like this one might top the list. If, for those of you who don't know, when the Lakers play in the Hawks, LeBron, he's going to trash talk. That's part of basketball. He's part of the NBA. So he was trash talking one of the Hawks players. Don't remember the specific player, but, then, his wife, being a good wife, standing up for her husband, starts cursing out LeBron. And then, LeBron curses her out back. She gets thrown out of the game. I don't know what to think about the situation. I thought it was a little weird, especially with no fans and she was courtside. Ryan, should she have been thrown out of the game, or do you think LeBron should have got a technical or something?
I thought she was hilarious, first off. She's my new favorite NBA player. I know she's not actually a player, but I'm going to root for her. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, like if they're gonna eject her for whatever she's doing, that's fine. I mean, that's their decision. But I feel like that shouldn't be as big a decision on LeBron. I feel like first off, LeBron argued back, which LeBron should never be arguing with a fan like that.
Right.
And then
Especially, a guy of
yeah,
his, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like LeBron, like
Yeah.
bro,
you, you should not be phased by a wife of, an NBA player. And, and it's the Hawks. Like, they don't
yeah.
have, I mean, besides Trae Young, but, I mean, with that hairline, I don't think anyone's going to marry Trae Young. But like, I think it was because there were no fans. I think otherwise it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. I think is LeBron just, I don't know if he's just getting soft or if like he's just getting mad about everything now. I don't really know, but I thought it was kind of weird, that she got ejected. But LeBron at this point in his career, he's got to be more mature.
Yeah,
Like,
at his age, menopause does that to you, though. You kind of get moody.
yeah, no, I mean, like, he's been in the league for so long. I just don't really get it. Something's off with him. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he was mad about the whole Embiid thing before. I don't really know, but LeBron, I mean, you got to get your shit together, dude. Like, I don't know what's going on with him, but I thought that situation was just kind of weird. But I think this kind of shows that LeBron might have too much power in the NBA. I know he's always had that kind of power because obviously, he's been in the face of the NBA for a while, and, he deserves some of that. But I think he's, getting treated a little differently because of that. But, it's kind of always been that way. So just thought that was a little interesting to bring up. But we're going to stay in basketball here because we're going to talk about the Raptors a little bit. They've been on a 3-game win streak. They're currently 10-12 after starting 0-6 to start the season. They defeated the Nets on so it was last Friday. KD did leave the game halfway through for safety reasons, safety protocols. I was kind of confused. I thought it was an injury, but then they just kind of took him out. Van Vliet and Lowry really look like they're clicking finally. Ryan, are the Raptors a contender again? Do you think they can cause some contention in the East, or are they just another low playoffs team seed?
They're obviously showing that they can play well. I don't see them as like a true contender. I think they're just going to come in, maybe splash around in the playoffs and then call it a year.
Yeah.
They've shown that, like, not only, I mean, Lowry's playing really well, but even without Lowry, their bench can put up good numbers. They have depth, which is really good. And I think their defense, when they play strong, is really strong. I mean, when they played the Heat the other day, they absolutely suffocated that entire team on defense.
Sure. And, with Chris Bottcher coming off the bench now, he's been unbelievable, in the paint defensively. And he's really been doing a great job filling the void of Serge Ibaka, who was a big loss for the Raptors. But, I'm going to agree with you, Ryan. The Raptors, I feel like they're just going to be the same old Raptors where they do pretty well in the regular season. They win maybe one round, and then, they get kicked out by an actual contender. And, that's because they don't have a number one guy. Like, they don't have a guy that can take over a game, and that's why, when they got Kawhi, they did so well because they have such a great supporting cast for a player like that. But, if you don't have that star player, you're not going to be able to really compete in the playoffs. So someone has got to step up on the Raptors, whether it's Kyle Lowry, Siakam, Fred VanVleet. One of them has got to average probably 25, 26 points a game. And they got to really, just take over the game. I don't think Kyle Lowry can really be that guy. He's never really, been that guy. But he's the leader of this team, and he's got to talk to the front office maybe about trying to acquire a star. Maybe a guy like Bradley Beal. But speaking of Bradley Beal, I'm a little confused about his situation. I think he's more confusing. He's probably the most confusing player to me since Kyrie, because I don't know. It seemed like Bradley Beal wanted to get traded, because he was very frustrated with the team. Seems like he was frustrated with the franchise when they traded his best friend. We talked about last week, different trade destinations for him. But Ryan, I don't know what to think about the situation. What do you think the Wizards should do? Should they, kind of communicate with Beal, get a straight answer from him, or do you think they should trade him just because of, they're not really a playoff contending team, and obviously there seems to be a lot of interest for him. So, Ryan, what do you think the Wizards should do here?
I think the Wizards should get rid of him. I mean, it's hard to say as a team you should get rid of one of the top scorers like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're obviously with him are not a playoff contender. They're not anything. So they might as well try to maybe rebuild with better, just get better people eventually instead of having him now and try to get something out of him. It's really weird because he was so strong about trying to leave for so long, and then they win one game and he's cool now. We're just everyone's friends.
Yeah, it's it seems like after that Nets game when Russell Westbrook kind of shut up all the haters and was just dropped 41. I think it was because they were playing KD. I think that inner Westbrook just kind of turned it up a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Wizards, if they don't think Bradley Beal is their guy, if they don't think they can surround a team with him and he can lead the team to to the NBA Finals, they should trade him because I feel like that's going to be better than just a bunch of mediocre years with him and Westbrook and a couple good young starters making it farthest I can ever see them go is the conference finals, but I don't think they'll even get there. So I don't know. Bradley Beal, it's a tough situation, because he is playing like one of the best players in the league right now. But again, I don't know. I think the Wizards should get rid of him. So I'm gonna agree with you there. But the last topic we got today, we're gonna talk a little baseball. This is about the time of year that the big free agents sign for baseball, and the top starting pitcher finally signed after all these rumors. Trevor Bauer finally signed with the LA Dodgers, 3 years, $102 million. It's kind of crazy that he won't be the ace after he just won the Cy Young Award. It's kind of crazy, but Ryan, what do you think of this signing? Do you think it was a good signing by the Dodgers? And Trevor Bauer, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think both people in that trade, did well. Obviously, the Dodgers are a really good team, obviously. So, I mean, he's not going to sign with some bad team. So he's getting a good team out of it, getting a good bit of money. And the Dodgers got an incredible pitcher out of it.
Right.
Be able to kind of defend themselves.
Yeah, and, the Dodgers, they're already a World Series team, and adding a Cy Young winner like that to your rotation, where Walker Buehler is projected to be the fourth starter, which on most teams he would probably be an ace, that's insane. That's ridiculous. It was kind of like I feel like it was kind of a sign of the Padres be like, hey, we're, you're doing a lot in the off season, but, we're still here. And it was kind of weird to me that Trevor Bauer signed with the Dodgers just because I'm pretty sure the Mets offered him more money. He kind of, his personality, he just seems like a New York guy, like trash talker, hard working type, so I was a little surprised he didn't sign with the Mets, but when the Dodgers are giving you that much money, they're already the best team in baseball. They're in LA. I totally get it from his side. But, honestly, for the Dodgers, I think this is kind of risky just because, he's getting $37 million a year, which is insane. And you're already, paying Mookie Betts a lot of money. You're going to have to pay Bellinger a lot of money. I guess Kershaw is probably going to retire soon considering he's, 35, so he's getting up there. But, Ryan, I don't know. I don't think Bauer is going to be worth $37 million by the third year of this contract. So I think this is a little risky by the Dodgers. I don't know if they're going to trade. I guess they would just trade him later. But I don't know many teams that would trade because we don't know if Bauer's, going to be this good for a couple more years. And I know that's kind of, tough to say because he's not really old or anything. He's still, well in his prime. But do you think that he's going to be worth $37 million by the third year?
I don't know. It's definitely. I agree with you. It's definitely risky because I think he's going to go he's either going to be worth way more than $37 million in 3 years, or he's going to be worth way under. It's going to go
Right.
either way. It's
Right.
going to be
Yeah.
tough to see.
Yeah, because I mean, he had a 1.73 ERA last year. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, there's no way he's going to be able to, do that for 3 years in a row. And he doesn't have to, because even if he pitches a 2.5 ERA, he's going to be worth it. But I don't know. It's going to be tough. But I think overall, great signing by the Dodgers for now, for sure. This kind of solidifies them as World Series favorites again. I know I kind of said the same thing about the Padres, but this is before Trevor Bauer. So I think the Dodgers are obviously the favorites here. But yeah, so that's all we got on the show today. I know we kind of went through that pretty fast, but Ryan and I kind of tend to agree on a lot of stuff, so we got to create a little conflict maybe a little bit, but I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Terry Myrick. We'd love to have him on again. I knew it was kind of cool for me to talk to a player like that, and especially for Ryan, because he used to play football in high school. So thank you for tuning in to Next on Deck this week, and we'll see you next week.